Hey, thanks for having me. This is going to be a lot of fun. So, I'm Matt Bowman, founder of Open Ed, and here to talk about open education, how we're opening the world for every learner. And guess what? You just took my icebreaker, which is great. I was going to say I had the same list of people, so I added one more. Grandparent. Anyone a grandparent in here? Yeah, I'm a grandparent. It's awesome. And also, lifelong learner was on my list, and I hope all of us raise our hand for that. Good, good. So we can skip right on. How long have you been doing that? So let's talk about how many are new, 1 or 2 years in terms of custom education or trying to do something a little different. 1 or 2 years? Okay. 3 to 5 years? Okay, 5 to 10 years? Okay, who's over 10 years in this world, this crazy world of mix-it-up education? More than 20? Oh, look at that. Okay, those that are new, go seek out those that are experienced. Because we're all in this together, right? We all want to try to help each other do the things that will bring our children success. So I hope that's okay. Those that have raised their hand for the long term, the new ones, go mix with them. And in that spirit, I'm going to start with a little picture of my family. So we have 5 children. They all are married now, so that's 10 that come to Sunday dinner. It's awesome. And we have 4 grandchildren. That's why I had to pull. This is my 4 grandchildren. I just melt. Is that the cutest little Christmas picture? But what have we learned over these years? Back when my wife and I, we've been married 33 years. So anyone around that? Anyone have that? Okay, good. Nice job. And Amy and I founded Open Ed together 16 years ago. And so that was our story, was our children and our grandchildren, and this is what Open Ed started as. Guess what? Every child is unique. We're all different. Every learner is different. We have opportunities that we need to we learn differently. We see that with our children. Even though I was talking with Trevor, same household, same neighborhood, same rules, same expectations, same patterns and culture of a family, every child was different, and they needed something different. And then it reminded me, I was a middle school teacher for many years, and that 10 to 14-year-old age group, I was talking to Keith about that, 10 to 14 age group is just a fun time in life. We had a 6'4" kid and a 4'6" kid, and they were developmentally normal. We had kids who were playing with cars at recess and others talking about driving cars. We had people playing with dolls and some dating, some shaving, and some just still baby face, and all developmentally normal. How many agree that every child's different? Do we have agreement there? So that leads to the question, how in the world, well, brain scientists agree, child development experts agree, we all agree. So we struggle with how in the world does a standardized system ignore that truth, that every child is different, every child is unique and has different needs. And that's because, and we have great public educators, and I was a public educator. 2 of my sons are public educators. We have them trapped in a system that was built 200 years ago. So just a little bit on the closed education model. We know that one size fits all, take it or leave it, fixed classrooms, isolated subjects. We sort kids by birth year and zip code, and some of that makes sense. 4 standards are pushed down from above, built for an irrelevant past. Now, I know places like GP Flex and others are trying to expand and do something different. And that's why we really believe that the world of education is opening up. We're seeing it across the board, and that's pretty exciting. Open education, personalized to each child, flexible time, pace, and place. Mix and match all these options. Relevant, interesting topics that kids are engaged in and want to learn about, and tailored for today and tomorrow's needs, not just 100 years ago's needs. So we're super excited about that. It all is based on children are not standard. Their education should not be either, right? So that's really what the message is tonight is, as we start I'll get to that magic. As we start to look, these lines are blurring between definitions of what is education and what's not, and learning and what's not, and what's schooling and what's not. Those lines are blurring, and that's where open education comes in. So I want to do a little, I'm going to pull this off. I just need to move a little bit. Little imagination activity for us. And you might have seen a similar thing like this before. Everyone look at this picture and see what animal you identify with. If that tree test is a standardized test, multiple choice, time limit, one correct answer, which animal do you identify with? Let's go through this. How many are test takers? That's a good skill. How many are monkeys? You see that? And you're like, man, give me that tree. I'll climb it quickly. Squirrel, cat, they're like jumping at the, excited for a test like that. How many are little bunnies right here? Sometimes feeling that way. Or an elephant, that horse. How about a bird? I don't know what the bird represents, kind of swooping in. I kind of view that as homeschoolers. You just swoop in and take what you can see on the top of the tree. But let's get to the fish. How many truly feel like they're fish out of water when it comes to a standardized, rigid test? Any fishes in here? Yeah. Yes, you can say, I'm a fish. Own it. You want to have a fish climb that tree? No. And that's the quote. Whether Einstein said it or not, that's debatable. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll live its whole life believing it's stupid. I don't want any kid to feel stupid. I don't want them to feel like they're a fish out of water when it comes to learning. Learning is innate to humans. We don't want to make them feel like, oh, I can't learn because I'm a fish and you've asked me to climb a tree. So I just love that. In fact, I want to spin that on its head for a minute. What if that tree, and we were talking about pickleball, I love pickleball. If that tree were to demonstrate my pickleball skills, I'd no longer be a fish, I'd be a monkey. So what are some of the things that you guys what's a tree that you guys would like to climb? What are some interests, you guys? Shout it out. Biking, if that were a tree, you'd be a monkey? Yeah, nice. What else? What else do you guys like? Okay, that's your passion. That's good. Curriculum integration. We've got honey. I was talking to Charles. You love honey, right? You've seen if that was a tree of knowledge about honey, you would not be a fish. I can tell. Is that true? Good. So again, what's interesting is we're all different, but that difference might actually change depending on what we're doing. And that's even more complex of change, right? And so it's a feature, not a bug. It's a feature of humans to be different and have different needs. It's not a bug that needs to be sucked out or worked out or fixed. That's a feature of humans, that we're different. So I just hope we can celebrate that. Let me share a few data points that my wife and I, when we discovered this, it kind of changed so much of what we did with our children's education. We said, you know what, there's about 10 learning hours a day. You can argue what learning hours mean, but let's just go with 10 learning hours, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 8 to 6, 365 days a year. That makes about 3,600 learning hours, okay? We calculated that, and we said, okay, if they're going to traditional schooling, it's about 7 hours a day for 180 days. So that's about 1,200 hours. Guess what? That's only 35% of the learning hours in a school year that they would be going to a traditional school. That means you as the parent are responsible for 65% of it, even if you're sending them every day to a public ed school. So that made us realize that's a big responsibility, and it made us think, what are we doing strategically for that other 65%, and if the 35% is the right mix for them to go to school or not? Every child is different. So we've had every version of our children, from public, private, charter, online, distance, unschool, homeschool, all that stuff. So we've tried every version of it with our 5 kids because they each needed something different. And now's the time, in our opinion, that the movement of open education is here. We have districts, we have charters, we have flexibility that have never existed before. Part of that, COVID opened up some windows. But we've been doing this for 16 years, and it's just exciting to be able to see the momentum of open education is here. We've had over 100,000 cumulative enrollments of thriving open eddies. So they love it, and we're here to say it can work, you can do it, And there's so many resources available to help. One of the key messages that we've learned, learning doesn't happen inside a building or a school or even a home. Where does learning occur? And we know inside the learner. That's one of my just favorite messages, is sometimes we get caught up of where are they learning? Well, they're learning inside themselves, right? What can we do to create that environment that allows them to pursue things that they want to learn about, enjoy, remember, develop, and succeed? So what does that might look like? So I want you to meet Annie, 15-year-old Open Eddie. Let me read. So she was asked this question: where do you go to school? Seems like a fairly simple answer or question to ask a teenager, right? Unless you're doing open education, then how do you answer that? You might say, oh, homeschool or alternative school or whatever. Listen to how Annie answered this. I'm reading it so I quote it right. Well, I'm taking a science class at my local district school, and I'm on the volleyball team there. I take a few online college courses from a virtual charter school that pays my tuition for that. On Monday afternoons, I go to a nearby homeschool co-op to participate in a really good book club. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I meet with a math tutor from Outschool. She's awesome. I also work part-time 3 mornings a week at a local bakery, and I'm learning a ton from that business owner. But on Fridays, I mostly unschool, as I like to spend time with my grandmother at her local senior citizen center. I don't know if that answers your question, Matt, on where I go to school, but I sure love it. Does anyone resonate with some of that? You've seen your children do that. And that is a great answer. It's not just you go to school to X school. She recognizes learning happens everywhere, and she's proud to say that. So that's what we call open education. So again, we mentioned all these terms are being merged, being blurred, the lines between them. Our Open Ed logo represents, you fill in the blank of what you want to do in there. And yes, there's some parameters, there's some guidelines, structure, support, but fill in that middle with what your child needs. And we're pretty excited about that. I'm going to tell some stories. Brittany asked me to bring some stories, so I've got a bunch of those. Before I do that, I want to just announce that we've picked a date for a book that I've written about all of our 30 years, plus Isaac is our CEO of Open Ed now. We have a live launch date on May 13th, so go to opened.co/book or click on that, scan that code. You can be an RSVP, and really that day there's going to be significant discounts. If you know anything about Amazon launches of a book, like the more we can sell in 1 hour or whatever, it matters. So we're going to discount it greatly during that live. We're doing a live webinar with me and Isaac on that date. So make a note of that. Inside the book, and this came from, I wanted to call out a conversation with Joe, Trevor's mom. The book inside is dedicated to every parent who continuously wonders if their love, effort, and decisions will lead their children to enjoy a happy, successful life. You're not alone. Don't we have that feeling sometimes that we don't know what we're doing? Is that fair to say that our kids don't come with the instruction manual, especially when it comes to how should I educate each different child? That's the hardest thing the parent has to figure out. So we don't know all the answers. You don't know all the answers. It's just something you just try your best. And Joe said it best, it's all just love them. And hopefully each day you can, adapt, adjust, figure it out. But you're not alone. And even Trevor said that there's no roadmap to mix and match all these things. You just got to figure it out. And what I like about that is sometimes I'll talk to parents and they'll say, they'll tell me, like Trevor just told me about his kids' education. I was like, that is so cool. And I could have said, would you come onto our podcast to tell that story? 99 out of 100 times the parent will say, oh, I'm not that special. What I'm doing is not that cool. You should go talk to Brittany's family or Jones's family or whatever. They're doing something cool. But sometimes we forget that what you're doing is cool because you're trying to figure out what works best for your own child. So don't underestimate that, even though it's easier to say, what I'm doing is not that special. I just kind of help my kid. That family over there is doing better. So we have that tendency to kind of undervalue what we are doing already. So keep up the good work and know that you're not alone. We cover these 5 building blocks. Embrace your child's uniqueness. Put your kids before your reputation. That's a really fun chapter. Map the learning landscape. Give your child a voice. Celebrate learner-driven sprints. So these are some of the building blocks that we're excited about. We also address head-on some of these common questions. Raise your hand as I go through them to see if you've had to defend or answer these types of questions when you've implemented a not-so-traditional education choice. Won't my child fall behind academically? Does anyone have to defend that one? What about college? You heard that one? Oh, they'll just play games all day. Have you heard that? I mean, we talk thousands and thousands and thousands of parents over the years. My spouse and I always struggle with our children over homework. Won't this be worse? Have you had that? Like, oh, I could never do that. I could never oversee that because we just battle about homework. Well, guess what? If you take away that pain and change it, it changes. So, yes, you know what that means. Oh, they won't learn the basics because I hardly know them, right? So, but no, that's not the point. So there's so many resources. Oh, and they need to learn discipline. They need to get up and go. Okay? There's other ways to do that too. There's one last one that always comes up. What about socialization? And I'm sure you're just laughing. You have had that question over and over and over again. We address that. We share ideas and thoughts about it that will really help you get past some of that. So we're excited about that. One last thing. Super excited about a chapter we built, Open Education Pathways After High School. I remember so many families in the programs early on, they would go through our experience, our program, and then they'd go to college, and their kid would hate it because they loved pursuing the things they wanted to pursue and learn about, and they were just bored and dry. And so then it's so interesting when you get into that scenario that we've had kids who have been engaged learners, and then we send them off to college, and sometimes it's not that. So it's really fun to be able to look at different options after high school, including internships, apprenticeships, all those things that are also really valuable, even at the early high school age. But really, one of the things I want to mention, and this is where we'll kind of end with some stories, I have found that entrepreneurship is the ultimate education. There is so much to learn when you help a child start any type of business. The elements that integrate everything, it's pretty amazing. And I love this quote. Literally, an IBM executive, I was in New York, he said, well, I'd rather hire a failed entrepreneur than an MBA from a prestigious university. Amen. Isn't that what we're talking about? There's more learning that happens through that process than any other way, honestly. And I've helped kids as young as 6 start businesses. How many have young kids who've started businesses? Let me show of hands. Isn't it amazing to see what happens when they start selling donuts or cookies or lawn mowing services or dog walking? It's just amazing. Even when it doesn't work out so well. So that's the story I want to tell here of Isaac Morehouse, the co-author. His son Nolan, at age 10, here's his picture. Let me tell you his story real quick. Nolan loved making and eating high-quality gourmet sandwiches. So, as a parent, you see someone, they're passionate about that. Hey, start a business. So he was encouraged to start a business to start selling gourmet sandwiches. 4 weeks later, he shut it down. Why? Here's his journal, real quick. Week 1, he sold all the sandwiches, but concluded they only bought them because I'm cute. So his lesson that week, novelty is not a sustainable business model. That's a good lesson. Okay, so week 2, he sent out some surveys and said, I'll customize the orders for you. So lesson he learned, market research matters. Listen to what your customers are saying. Week 3, the survey said they just want more meat, not fancier meat. He was kind of disappointed. Your taste isn't always the market's taste. So then he added packaged chips and drinks to the order because he thought, okay, I need to diversify and increase profit margins. After that, week 4, when he realized he could sell sandwiches with lots of turkey, but not fancy meats, and he could sell chips and drinks, he says, to make real money, I'd have to make and sell sandwiches I wouldn't want to eat myself. So, lesson, know when to pivot or quit. Both are legit pathways. We don't need to say, keep doing it, keep doing it. No. Just say, you know what, I learned that. I don't want to do that. I can try maybe something different. And bonus lesson, he learned his core value. He was more interested, and not judgment either way, he was more interested in the quality of experience and gourmetness than he was the profits. Other kids might be totally focused on the profits. That's okay too. But he found out that he was less interested in the profits than the gourmet sandwiches. No textbook teaches any of this stuff. Only experience does. Another story. Kids are far more capable than we can ever imagine. So I hosted a meetup one year at eBay headquarters, and we had about 100 kids and parents there with eBay executives. And I suggested to the eBay executives on the panel, I said, hey, share some business challenges, some real business challenges that you have with the audience. What does eBay struggle with as executives? So they shared several of the challenges, and I said, hey, would you give us 10 minutes and the average age of the kids was 10 in the crowd. So it was a young meetup. It was kind of a field trip we went on. And so these kids, the parents kind of stepped off to the side, let the kids gather. They had 10 minutes to come up with ideas and solutions to those eBay executive challenges. And then they pitched them to the executives. The executives were blown away. They said some of these ideas are better than our whole management team has even produced. Literally, they said, we've heard some ideas that we have never thought of. And kids think differently than adults. They come up with solutions that are different than our adult minds. Give them the opportunity to do that. Respect that voice, that difference. I'm confident that the next generation can solve some of the problems that we've made for them because they think differently about it. And that's great. We don't have to say our way is the best way. Like, let kids have a voice in that, and you'll be amazed at what they can do. Okay, final few stories. We still good? Olivia, 15-year-old farm girl. She started a dog breeding business. She lived in a rural area outside of a rural area. And she ended up making $30,000 in her first 6 months. Her parents told her they had never made $30,000 in a year on their farm in their life. And she was shocked at that and realized, wow, this is a huge opportunity. She sold another, she was forecasting $80,000 the next year. She told me, thanks for giving me wings. I nominated her for the Ernst & Young Young Entrepreneur of the Year award, and she won it. Super special girl. But she had social anxiety. School was not a good fit for her. She was in our open ed program because she needed that flexibility, that personalization, that individualization. So just amazing. Oh, I have a quote from her I wanted to share. Olivia said, my parents loved me enough to allow me to fail. They understood that success often comes after numerous failures. And instead of preventing me from experiencing disappointment, they let me learn from my mistakes. That's what entrepreneurship can do. Meet Aiden. He was an open Eddie for 13 years. So he started as a kindergartner. He graduated from program in 2022. So it's been a few years. But all 13 years with us as a 17-year-old, he started a weed gardening solution that was low water, low weeds. He took one of our 3D modeling courses and he iterated, did a prototype, got customer feedback. Guess what? He had a target of selling $10,000 worth of his garden solution. It's like this solution of, low water, low weeds. He had a $10,000 goal his first year. revenue $150,000 from his little garden solution you see in the back of that picture. That was pretty cool for him. I got a quote from him too. Aiden said, "The things you learn when you create a real business are not in textbooks. They're things you experience firsthand." Gerardo, his parents immigrated from Mexico, and when they arrived and they realized the traditional system was not going to work for him, he was just so interested in being a maker, a designer, and tinker all the time. He just felt so confined in the school setting. So they joined Open Ed, became Open Education designers, and he then got into entrepreneurship and just shining star, just amazing kid. Jake, 16-year-old Roblox designer. How many have ever had your kids play Roblox? He's been designing digital skins and accessories since he was 12 and has sold over 5 million Roblox accessories, like hats and scarves and beanies and things you can buy digitally. Is that the coolest story? Like I just say, wow, it's just super cool. Little family here, Emma, Edison, Owen, and Thomas. They were 5 to 13-year-olds when they started this business. Game day flag entrepreneurs. They would go around on a BYU flag day, BYU from Utah, and they would put flags in the homes, the yards of fans, and they would pay them $30 for the season. Great business idea for anyone around here, right? Just pick a team and go stick the flag in there. They made thousands of dollars in profits each season. And then one year, a bunch of neighbor kids from other communities came to them and said, "We want to do the same." And they didn't want to drive out there, so they sold them their business in a box. And they made $8,000 more that year just by selling flags and poles and the idea. So it was a mini franchise model. It was super cool. Last story, Eliza. She liked school. She loved friends. Or she liked learning. She loved friends. She didn't like school. How many can fit into that, right? And she finally, during her junior year, she went to her parents and said, "I'm totally stressed out. I'm overwhelmed. I don't like this. Is there anything we can do differently?" So her parents adopted an open education mindset. Enrolled her in an associate degree online. She did that in the mornings. She'd go meet her friends at lunch. No one else even knew she hadn't been there that morning. Like, it was really interesting. They're just barely waking up anyway. So at noon, she'd show up and have lunch with her friends, stay for a couple classes at the district school. She was a 3-sport athlete after school, and she finished her associate degree in the mornings in 14 months. She was an all-state basketball player. She just thrived. It was just absolutely perfect for her. Quick side note, she's now married. She's wanting to open up a fitness center of her own one day. She loves fitness and sports. And she's excited to be a mom one day. And how do I know all this? You might guess. She's my daughter. This is a picture of our daddy-daughter date or dance at her wedding last summer. So this is personal to me. This is not just a business. This is not just a movement. This is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. So thanks for letting me share that, and thanks for being here today.